Welcome back. This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd Borowitz Show, Real Estate Radio and Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I am your host, Todd Borowitz, and we're speaking in the studio. Lisa Abrams, top real estate agent over with ReMax Town Center at Park Potomac. Well, hello. Lisa, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
You've been in the business for a while.
Yes, I have. I've been in the business for a long time.
So you've seen the ups and downs. And you're licensed in Maryland, Virginia, in D.C., and also Florida.
Yes, I am. I cover the whole East Coast just about.
Very nice. And what made you want to pick ReMax Town Center over all the other real estate agents? Because there's a lot that are out there.
Well, there are a lot that are out there, and years ago I did start out with a competitor. I ended up going over to ReMax about 10 years ago, and I like their business model. It's more for the professional that doesn't need the hand-holding. We have the support when we need it, but it's our own business. We run it the way that we want to run it, as long as we're legal, compliant, ethical, and it's just we run the business our way. We don't have the new agents are typically not ReMax agents because they don't offer the training that a new agent would need. So they would tend to go to a more traditional agency.
Perfect. And you stand out among a lot of other real estate agents.
Thank you.
And what I've noticed is I was talking to someone today that was looking to buy a house, and they're like, I know so many people that have their license, and why should I basically sign up with them when I can go do it myself? And my response is there's a lot of people out there where you would think that. But when you have a qualified real estate agent that knows the ropes, that is able to basically come up with what your property is worth, has an aggressive plan to sell your property, or has an aggressive plan to basically understand what you're looking for to find it for you, you stand out a lot further where you stand out from the herd.
Thank you.
And I want to get into that with everybody, with our listeners. What is making you different than everybody else?
Well, first of all, I'm a full-time realtor. This is all that I do. I work 7 days a week, just about 365 days a year, holidays, weekends, nights. There are a lot of people. It's very easy to obtain a real estate license. I think it's $300 to take the course. I think it might be another $100 to get your real estate license. And people think, wow, you can make a lot of money in real estate and for $400, $500 in, and I'll make a lot of money. And yes, it's easy to obtain, but to actually do the business, it's not. There's a lot of legalities involved. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with buying or selling a home. And there's a lot of part-time agents that are bank tellers during the day, attorneys, doctors, they sell skincare, and then they sell real estate on the side. And it's a full-time business. We're dealing with attorneys, we're dealing with lenders, we're dealing with bankers, we're dealing with appraisers. They work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So if I'm cutting somebody's hair and I'm working on a loan working on a deal with one of my buyers, and I have to speak to the lender, I can't call them when I'm done at 6 o'clock to get the answers. I need to be doing this during the day when they're working around their schedule. So I don't understand how people can do it part-time. And as I said, there's a lot of legalities, so you have to know what you're doing. As far as doing it yourself without a realtor at all, I've had buyers call me and they'll say, we don't want to work with an agent. We want to do it ourselves. So we'll call the listing agent to show us that they're listing, and we'll just keep calling listing agents. And what they don't understand is that the listing agent, by default, represents the seller. When they sign that listing agreement with the realtor, they are signing a contract, and so the realtor is working for that seller, and their job is to get the most money, the best terms possible for that seller. They can facilitate an offer for the buyers, but they are not representing the buyers. It's not allowed in Maryland to represent two parties, a buyer and a seller, at the same time. So you have somebody facilitating, but they're not looking out for your best interest. The other piece with a buyer is they'll go from open house to open house. Not every home is open, so they're missing out on a big chunk of inventory that they're not getting in to see. A realtor can get them into any listing out there, whether it's a Long & Foster, Weichert, ReMax. We can get them into any property that's currently listed. We can also get them into for sale by owners, which they will a lot of times co-op with agents. There's also no fee for a buyer to be working with an agent. So our commission is paid for by the seller. So you're getting free representation. There's not many places you can go and have somebody working for free for you. On the flip side, for the sellers, they're listing their house. Realtors tend to get 15% more out of the home than if they try to sell it themselves. Again, with the legalities that are involved with that, if you needed brain surgery, would you do it yourself, or would you have the best brain surgeon out there to perform it? If you had tax issues, would you try to represent yourself in front of the IRS, or would you hire a great accountant to represent you? Same thing with real estate. It's probably your biggest asset, and to go it alone, it's very risky. And like I said, we can get you about 15% more on your return, and that's even with the 6% commission that you're paying out. So you're still coming out ahead.
It's perfect. You explained it perfectly.
Thank you.
The difference between having somebody that is looking for a house and you got a buddy or a friend that basically has the license, and it's like, well, I'm scared to go to an expert because I want to help my friend out, but this is a huge investment. This is your number one investment you're ever going to make.
Exactly.
It's not something you want to make the wrong decision and have to fix, correct, or have to sell and pay 6%.
Exactly.
It's
right.
You want to make sure you're doing it right, and just like you said, you want to represent yourself in front of the IRS.
Right. I did have a seller who I went on a listing appointment once, and I said to him, your house is beautiful. It was in a great location, beautiful home, showed beautifully. And I said to him, your house will sell quickly. And he said, well, then why do I need you? And I said to him, because in this market, and this was after the downturn of the market, and from that point till today, the lending guidelines are very tight. There's a lot of changes in the industry. And I said to him, because it's not just getting your home sold, it's getting it to settlement, and that's what I can do.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, if you're just tuning in with me, I have with me Lisa Abrams, real estate agent with ReMax Town Center at Park Potomac. I am your host, Todd Borwood, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Now, Lisa, I don't mean to call you out on this, but I got to basically share this with our listeners. You live and breathe real estate.
Yes, I do.
And one of the things that you do is you have those weekend events calendars that go out of everything that's going on in the community. I've seen reports from you that you get through GCarve, like housing reports and local market insights, and just information that I found astonishing between what changed. It's just amazing information that you gather. Plus, you go to these conventions that are all about real estate, and you just went to one in Texas.
Yes, I did in Houston. Yeah.
And you met the CEO or president of Zillow?
Of Zillow and Trulia. Lawrence Yoon from the National Association of Realtors, who's our chief economist, was there. And we get all the top name people in the real estate industry at this conference.
And that as a whole is how you stand out from the rest of the herd. Plus, with all you do, you're just sitting on top of this mountain of information, and you're able to share it with all your clients. And I just find that to be fascinating.
Well, I believe in educating my clients, and if I'm not educated, they're not educated.
I think you're taking education to another level. So what did you learn over at the conference?
We talked a lot about the millennials. That was the buzzword while we were there. The millennials and how they're living at home with their student debt, and how they're starting to come out of the woodwork and starting to look for homes. It's a big piece of the market. We also talked about the baby boomers that are now starting to downsize and selling their large homes, their family homes. The kids are gone, and it's time for them to downsize. It's basically me time, and they're looking for places to go and to retire and have a smaller place and have more of a lifestyle. So we were talking quite a bit about that also.
Perfect. And you also mentor other agents.
I do, yes.
And you just basically, it's like a fine-tuned machine, and you just expand into Florida.
I have. I do work in Florida, mainly southeast part of Florida. It's a great hot market, and I think in any business that you're in, the baby boomers are the way to go, because that's where the money is. They're starting to retire, and that's where the economy is heading. So no matter what business you're in, whether it's financial advising, accounting, real estate, focusing on the baby boomers is always a good bet in this market.
And there's a lot in this area that are ready to retire and move to Florida.
Exactly,
and they're
yes.
looking for that ally to go down there, because it's a different market in Florida.
It's a very different market. You can get some great deals down in Florida still.
But there's a different type of culture of real estate agents down there.
It's a very different culture down there. It's more of a Jimmy Buffett mentality. They'll call you whenever. which is why I tend to use my resources up north when working down in Florida. So my lender, right, Todd, you're licensed down in Florida, and that's why I depend on you to get the loans done down in Florida, more so than using a lender down there, because we need responses quickly, we need it done professionally, we need it done right.
It was interesting. My parents are in Florida, and I was trying to help them when I wasn't licensed in Florida.
Right.
And they would call up and give the quote and then could do all the paperwork and change the rates, and I'd be like, the rates didn't change.
Right. I call it the Wild West down there.
Oh my God, it was totally completely different.
Yes, yeah. It's the Wild West. Anything goes, which again leads me back to why I use people up here, because I know it's going to be done right, and my clients are going to be taken care of the way they should be taken care of.
And they got great deals down there, which is great.
They do. They do. I bought a property down there 2 years ago, at the second home, and I bought it 2 years ago in April, and it's already doubled in price from what I paid for it.
And it's a great place to move because then your family wants to visit you. My
Exactly.
mother, that's her favorite thing, is us coming down to visit.
Everybody goes to Florida.
Everyone loves Florida. Well, thank you, Lisa Abrams from ReMax Town Center at Park Potomac, for being here with us today.
Thank you for
And
having
coming
me.
up next, we got Michael Herson from Congressional Insurance Associates, and we're going to be talking about insurance, a good topic to go over.